Let's go back to comparing Bolt, Anning, and myself as the video cut off. Um, right, so let's apply these concepts to the three sprinters. So Usain Bolt, his acceleration phase is explosive, allowing him to reach top speed quickly. His deceleration phase is minimal, as he can maintain his speed and form under the fatigue thanks to his powerful muscle contractions and efficient biomechanics. Anning has a strong acceleration phase, but may experience more deceleration towards the end of the race due to a less explosive power and energy efficiency compared to Bolt. My acceleration phase is a lot slower. I experience a significant deceleration as fatigue sets in. This is due to less force production, less efficient running mechanics, and lower capacity to delay fatigue. Now, this is because I'm primarily a strength athlete, so I'd be using a lot of the ATP system, but fatigue will come in very quickly because I'm such a short-term athlete, primarily weightlifting, so it's only within the first 10 seconds that really count towards benefiting me. Now, the acceleration and deceleration phases are critical to sprint performance. By analyzing these phases, we can gain valuable insights into the biomechanical and physiological factors that influence an athlete's ability to reach and maintain top speed. Now, on this slide, we'll be understanding inertia and how it helps us to appreciate the challenges sprinters face as the strategies they use to overcome inertia. So, what is inertia? Inertia is the resistance of an object or system to any change in its velocity. In simpler terms, it's the tendency of an object to stay at rest or in motion unless acted on by an external force. Now we can look at Newton's first law. This is the principle that is rooted that states an object will remain at rest or move at a constant velocity unless acted upon by an unbalanced force. If we look at inertia in sprinting, inertia plays a key role in two main phases. The first of which is the starting from rest. At the beginning of a race, the sprinter is at rest and must overcome the air inertia to start moving. This results in a significant amount of force. They also have to change speed. So once in motion, the sprinter must continue to apply the force to overcome the inertia and accelerate to top speed. Now, to overcome inertia, sprinters may rely on several biomechanic and physiological factors, the first of which is force production. The greater the force applied to the ground, the easier it is to overcome inertia. This is why sprinters use starting blocks. They allow the athlete to push against a stable surface, maximizing force production. Now we're going to look at muscle power as well. Overcoming inertia requires explosive power for the muscles, particularly the glutes, hamstrings, and quadriceps, as I've said. These muscles generate the force needed to propel the body forward. So, within inertia, there is a lot that comes into play with the relationship between inertia and mass. Inertia is directly related to mass. So the greater the mass of an object, the greater its inertia. So these two are proportional things. This means that the athletes with higher mass, like Usain Bolt, have more inertia to overcome compared to the lighter athletes such as Anning, who is 61 kilos compared to Bolt's 94 kilograms. For myself, who is 81 kilograms, right in the middle. Now, the higher mass, like Bolt, have more inertia, as we've said, requiring more force to accelerate. However, once in motion, their greater mass can contribute to higher momentum, which helps maintain speed. Lower mass athletes like Anning have less inertia, making it easier to accelerate initially. However, they may generate less momentum, which can affect their ability to maintain top speed. Now let's look at an example within sport. Usain Bolt, with a mass of 94 kilograms, Bolt has significant inertia to overcome. However, his powerful muscles and explosive force production allow him to generate the necessary force to accelerate quickly. Once in motion, his greater mass contributes to higher momentum, helping him to maintain speed. Now, Anning at 61 kilograms, Anning has a less inertia, making it easier for her to accelerate out of the blocks. However, her lower mass means that she can generate less momentum, which will affect her ability to maintain top speed over the entire race. Now, myself at 81 kilograms, I fall between Bolt and Anning in terms of mass and inertia. This means that I require a moderate amount of force to accelerate, but I may not generate as much momentum as Bolt due to my lower speed. Key takeaways from this is inertia is a fundamental concept in biomechanics that influences how athletes start, accelerate, and move during a race. Now, overcoming inertia requires an explosive force production, particularly in the glutes, hamstrings, and quadriceps. Mass plays a critical role in inertia. Higher mass means greater inertia, requiring for more force to accelerate, but also contributing to higher momentum once in motion. Understanding inertia helps us appreciate the challenges sprinters face and the strategies to use to optimize their performance. Now, on this slide, we'll be exploring the concept of momentum and its critical role within sprinting. Momentum is a key biomechanical principle that influences how athletes accelerate, maintain speed, and perform during a race. Understanding momentum helps us appreciate the physical dynamics that contribute to elite sprinting performance. So, what is momentum? So the definition says that momentum is the product of an object's mass and its velocity. In equation form, this can be expressed as momentum equals mass times velocity. This means that momentum depends on both how much an object weighs and how much faster it is moving. Units, momentum is measured in kilograms per meters per second. Right. So momentum in sprinting. In sprinting, momentum plays a crucial role within the acceleration phase. So the greater an athlete's momentum, the harder it is to slow them down or change their direction. This is why generating momentum early in the race is critical. The second phase is the maintaining phase. So once an athlete has built momentum, it helps them maintain their speed even as fatigue starts to kick in. Factors affecting momentum things like mass and velocity. So the greater the mass of the athlete, the greater their potential momentum is, provided that they can achieve high speeds. But if their mass is obviously lower, then it affects their ability to build this momentum. They won't be able to. So let's take, I don't know, a 60-kilogram athlete compared to a 90-kilogram athlete. Let's say they're both rugby players. If the 60-kilogram rugby player decides to run for 10 seconds, and within his final 5 seconds of that phase, he's running against the 90-kilogram rugby player. Now, these two rugby players, they have the different weights, the same height, everything is the same other than their mass. Their mass is 90 kilograms and 60 kilograms. Now, in the last 5 seconds, we know that the heavier one, the one with the more mass, is going to have more momentum than the 60-kilogram one because they will not be able to build as much momentum as the 90-kilogram athlete. The second thing contributing to affecting momentum, the faster the athlete moves, the greater their momentum, regardless of their mass. Okay, so now we're going to look at the biomechanical implications of momentum. So let's break down how the athlete's sprinting performance is. So starting the race at the beginning of the race, sprinters must generate momentum by applying force to the ground. This requires explosive power from the muscles, as we said, particularly in the hamstrings, glutes, and quadriceps. Now, maintaining speed, we have once the momentum is established, it helps the athlete maintain their speed. However, Maintaining momentum requires efficient running mechanics and energy utilization. For example, proper ground contact. Sprinters must apply force efficiently to the ground to minimize energy loss and maintain forward momentum. They also have to minimize air resistance, so running in a streamlined posture. This isn't particularly within sprinting, I would say. Air resistance is usually within things like, or it's usually to do with objects that may be affected in windy conditions. But if uh, an elite athlete was looking to overcome all of their other competitors, which have milliseconds between their finishes, then this would be an effective way of just getting ahead of them. They have to have a streamlined body posture, which reduces their drag, helping them to preserve their momentum. Now, we're going to look at the comparison. Let's apply the concept of momentum to our three sprinters. So we have Bolt with a mass of 94 kilograms and a top speed of around 12.4 meters per second. Bolt generates an incredible amount of momentum. His momentum allows him to maintain his speed even as fatigue sets in, making him one of the greatest sprinters. Now, Anning, at 61 kilograms and a lower top speed compared to Bolt, generates less momentum. While her lower mass makes it easier for her to accelerate, she may struggle to maintain her speed through the entire race as she has lower momentum. Now, myself at 81 kilograms, I fall between Bolt and Anning, as I said. However, my lower speed means I generate less momentum than Bolt. This affects my ability to maintain speed, especially towards the end of a race. Now, a practical example could be through finding momentum of Bolt at its top speed. Now, to do this, we have to find his mass times his velocity. Now, we have his mass at 94 kilograms, and we have his velocity at 12.4 meters per second. Obviously, this being a vector quantity, it would have a direction on it. So we could say it's north, so 12.4 meters per second north. So 94 times 12.4 equals 1,165.6. And because we know the units of momentum are kilograms per meters per second, so we can say 1,165.6 kilograms per meters per second. So as we see, Bolt's momentum is significantly higher than Anning's and mine, which contributes to his ability to maintain speed and dominate the race. In summary, momentum is a key biomechanical factor in sprinting that influences an athlete's ability to accelerate, maintain speed, and performance at their best. By understanding and addressing the principles of momentum, sprinters can improve their performance and achieve their full potential. Now, we look at speed. So, there was a difference between my 200 meters and the elite athlete's 200 meters. This was that, as you can see on the bottom, this would be my 200 meters. So my 200 meters was 100 meters up, and then I did a turn at the top, and then I went back down 100 meters. This turn obviously affected my speed as I had to slow down and change direction. So I had to build up that momentum again, as we were talking about in the previous slide. But their speed was 200 meters. Their distance was 200 meters with a displacement of around 127 meters, whereas my displacement was 0 meters. Okay, we're going to look at the speed. So the speed is equal to distance divided by time, as we can see. And as we can see there, time and speed are inversely proportional. So if everything was kept the same, the distance was kept the same, time would be going up as speed would be going down. So if our time increases, let's say we have a 60-second 200 meters compared to a 30-second 200 meters, there is clearly a 30-second difference there. That means the speed is going down because the time has increased.